Well, hello, Elaine. Thank you for being here on the Dating Advisory Board.
Jen, thank you so much for having me. I'm been all excited about this all week long, so I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, no. So let me give you the guest a little background on Elaine Espinola Keltz. Number one, she's amazing, and I love her. She's got the most amazing energy. She's gorgeous inside and out. And Elaine is a speaker, spokesperson, TV show host, and Mrs. DC America 2015. During her reign, Elaine was recognized by the Washington Business Journal as People on the Move, and through Leesburg Today, a 40 Under 40 award recognizing Loudoun's rising business and community leaders. Elaine finished in the semifinals, top 15 at the Mrs. America pageant in Las Vegas, Nevada last September, and continued to promote the platform empowering women through entrepreneurship. So I can't wait to really dive into that. Elaine is also the founder and executive director of Media Savvy, a consulting company that offers innovative solutions to brand, advertise, and market businesses through media interactions. As the host of the TV show I'm Every Woman on Comcast Community Cable, Elaine co-produces episodes and interviews guests with the mission to showcase those women in the community that are doing important and impactful things.
That's right.
I'm so excited. So can you tell the audience a little bit about your background, of how you came to be here in DC, and how, and your business background, and
Sure.
and
Sure.
just how awesome you are.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, speaking of our show, showcasing impactful women, thank you for being on our show, because that was
so much
awesome.
fun.
And so my background, what brought me to DC? Well, I went to college in Baltimore. So that's what brought me south. I'm from New Jersey.
Yep.
And then I graduated. And what I did next, Jen, was such a pivotal thing in my career, but really it was just a year. But I moved to Bangkok, Thailand.
Wow.
And I taught English.
That's amazing.
In Bangkok, Thailand. It was pretty cool, especially, I was thinking about it as I was kind of preparing for the show and walking through kind of my background and how I've gotten to be here. And, it's really funny. I went from living under my parents' roof through high school. You go to college, sort of a small Jesuit school, so still a little sheltered. I had the same 4 roommates, my best friends, my girls.
Yeah, your tribe.
And my tribe, exactly. And then my first apartment was across the world in Bangkok, Thailand by myself. What was I thinking?
Well, I think that's really great that you did that. I mean,
Yeah.
was there any point where you're like, oh my God, I'm going over here, I know no one, but you just kind of knew that was your mission?
Kind of.
Yeah.
It didn't scare me. I was excited for the whole experience. I would say that at some point while I was there, I realized, oh my God, what am I doing here? Because there's the excitement around, I'm going to go, I'm going to do this, I'm going to move here, I'm going to do that. And then you're there and you're eating dinner by yourself on a Friday night because you don't know anyone and no one speaks English, and then you're like, oh, wow. I mean, this experience is amazing, but I'm a little lonely.
Yeah.
But of course, you meet people, you make friends, and I say it was such a pivotal time because precisely for that reason, I was so out of my comfort zone. And I had to do things by myself. I mean, have you ever gone to the movies by yourself? It's a little bit weird feeling on one hand, you're like, whatever, I'm just here to see the show. On the other hand, you're like, is anyone looking at me? Are they wondering when my friends come in, or why am I alone? So it's that weird thing. And so anyway, but hey, I did it. I did it frequently. Yeah. I traveled around that city all by myself. I just, in the morning on a Saturday, if I wasn't working, I'd go explore and do this or that. So it just taught me a great deal about myself and what I'm capable of. Yeah. Quite frankly.
Well, I mean, that takes a lot of courage.
I guess so. I didn't, it wasn't conscious at that time, but looking back, or I have kids, if I think about my kids doing something like that, it would scare me, and then came back to the States and pursued what would become my career, my main career in corporate, which was pharmaceutical sales, which took me to DC. Yeah. So DC was my playground, my everything. It's where my career started. It's coincidentally where I met my husband, where we were married, where all of our children were born in DC. And then doing the Mrs. DC America thing years later, it was just really interesting because it's like, oh my gosh, it really came full circle. This is where sort of so much of my life happened, of who I was going to become. And then I'm able to celebrate it last year as Mrs. DC America, as a married woman. And, it was just, I don't know, very poignant for me.
Yeah. So when you talk about courage, right? I mean, you went overseas by yourself. I mean, you took a stance, right? And you talk about how I think it's really important in business to be courageous and and lead yourself with courage and not let any other people interfere with what your main, goal is, right? And so when you're talking about empowerment with women through entrepreneurship and how we do pride, passion, and positive energy, so let's translate, how can we present our best self in both the business world and the personal?
I love talking about presenting your very best self. And, it can sound a little bit sort of flighty and fun. And like, what does that mean? Are you saying we should just look pretty all the time? Or what are you trying to say? And, if you think about any business endeavor, you are going to come to the table with your best assets about your business.
Right.
You are not going to come to the table talking about what you can't do.
Right.
Right. Especially if you're trying to do business with someone else, sell something, collaborate with, or gain a new client. You are going to prepare yourself.
Right.
If you're going to meet them for lunch, you're going to make a reservation. You're going to know where to park. You're going to plan to pay for it. You're going to plan and put effort. You're going to put effort and present your very best self in that meeting, because that might be the only time you have to pitch to someone. And I think that in life, and maybe in dating and relationships, sometimes maybe we forget that, or you present your best self one time, but are you following up and doing it each and every time? I think we do in business because they're a client. Right. And so every time you meet with that client, and every piece of work you're going to do for or with that client is always going to be your best effort as a business, because you care. Time is money. Right. That's right. First impression, and then carrying it through each and every time. In a relationship, do we always do that? Or in dating? I mean, think about even married couples.
Right.
How do we let ourselves go? And I don't mean physically, but I mean inclusive of that. You present your best self when you're dating, and then what happens when you get married? Are you still that positive, cute? Are you putting in the effort? Are you putting in the effort in all ways, not just physically,
not just because you're comfortable?
Yeah,
right?
Don't get complacent.
Yeah.
People don't do that in business.
No.
If you get complacent in business, bye-bye. I'm going to seek. This isn't working out anymore.
Yeah,
this isn't working out anymore. Right. In a relationship, then you end up living with it that way,
right?
Yourself or your partner, and then there might become, I don't know, disinterest or just resentment.
Animosity.
Yeah.
Right.
And
say, well, you don't appreciate me, or you're not respecting me, or you're nagging me about this or that, and then you say, well, okay, so let's. You actually, I think communication is very important. Yes. And, I call them, I do a lot of health checks with clients and see how are things going? Right. And you should do a health check in your relationships.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I've seen in the past where some people are like, oh, everything's fine, blah, blah, blah. And then, well, really? Because you're not really acting like everything is just hunky-dory. So, but you have to make it, you talk about, core values and your non-negotiables should be the similar.
Yeah.
Or else if someone is a communicator and trying to communicate with you, but the other person doesn't want to open up, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah. And I think in business, you're much more comfortable sitting down and saying, hey, listen, let's make sure this is working out for both parties, because we should part ways if it's not.
Right.
In a relationship, you don't want to part ways. You want to make it work.
Right.
But if you say, hey, is everything okay? And that person, generally the woman is like, yeah, but it's not.
Fine.
Right, it's fine.
Fine.
But you really have to put in that main effort to make sure things are right, and you're not just, time isn't passing while things are not right.
Right.
And then just from the perspective of dating too, and presenting your very best self, I like to talk about kind of being purposeful about how you present yourself. And I'm not suggesting that you're not genuine, or you're not real, or you're not putting everything out there. But just like in business, you want to pitch your very best assets, your skills, your talents. I think people should do that in the dating world too. I'm not saying, again, that we don't all have flaws, because we do.
Yeah.
No company is perfect. No business plan is perfect. You're going to change as you go along, evolve, or you're going to come to find out maybe a business's weakness, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay, because you can work with it now. You have a relationship now.
Right.
And in a relationship, it's the same thing. I think that you should come to the table with all of your everything that makes you amazing about you. And maybe nothing else in the beginning.
Right,
just present your best self in every possible way.
Right, yeah. Because, you look at it, and, people, and we talk about energy, right, positive energy. People want to be around people that are happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about how the positive energy is applicable.
My gosh.
I know.
Oh, my gosh. I am just such a believer in it. I believe that energy is extremely powerful. Yeah. There's a quote, and I love it, and it says that your energy introduces you before you even say a word.
Oh, that's
and
great.
It's just, isn't it true?
It's so true.
I mean, and especially once you're a little bit in tune to it and you start thinking on that in that level. But if someone's in the room, they don't have to say a word, and I can kind of sense, is this person grouchy?
Right.
Is this person not feeling me for some reason?
Right.
I don't know. Or you can also sense really genuine energy.
Yeah.
You can also sense energy where someone's sizing you up. You can, if you're really intuitive, you can sense energy where this person, maybe they're being nice, but they don't mean it. You can sense that too. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's important to keep your own energy in check.
Yeah.
And why not lead with positive energy?
Yeah.
It's a choice.
It's a choice.
It's a choice. I can choose to be negative.
Yeah.
And some days I am.
Yeah.
Some days.
Like, we're not perfect. I mean, we talk
No.
about positive. I mean, there's going to be things that are thrown
Absolutely.
out, in the business, stressful situations in the office with a client or, with a relationship. And you just got to be like, okay, I'm not going down the negative Nancy road today. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And, and I think it was Abong Ika said a really good point. He's like, I wake up every morning, have an affirmation and say, I wake up and say, this is going to be a great day, because it matters how you start your day.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
if you, say, okay, I'm grateful for these things and, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it does shift your day.
It really does.
Right.
And it helps you frame your actions, I think. You talk about success, for example, in sports or in business. You see yourself sinking that shot.
Yeah.
You see yourself making that touchdown. You see yourself winning that crown, if that's what it is.
Exactly.
In business, you see yourself landing that deal. You envision what that looks like in your head because that motivates you. Mm-hmm. And I think that we can do that in relationships too. If you kind of wake up every day and have that affirmation like he suggested, and like so many of us do in a business or work environment.
Right.
What if you do that in your relationships too? What if you envision like, I wake up today thinking, you know what? I can't wait to see my husband, and tonight's dinner, it's going to be...
It's going to change your attitude. Like, hey,
I'm going to make it special tonight. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about what that looks like. I'm thinking about how happy my family's going to be when they see me tonight. Or if it's a dating scenario, it's like, you think about like, I really hope I hit it off with this person.
Right.
Think about that. Don't just hope for it or, cross your fingers. Let's see what happens here.
Let's see what happens. Throw it in there. See what happens.
Sort of envision that and then work backwards. Well, how do I get to that? Well, let me plan. Yeah. Let me do a little recon. Right. What is this person interested in? Oh, they like this. Let me get tickets to that.
Yeah, because you're putting in effort. Because effort is attractive.
Effort, energy, it's attractive. And it's also unattractive if you're not doing it or you're doing it wrong.
Right. Because you're like, okay,
or you're doing it on the negative.
Right.
If your effort is negative, it's a choice to open a door for someone. It's a choice to pay for someone. And it's not about money, but it's a gesture. It's a choice to, know that person's preference and try and make them happy.
Right. Because if you ever find yourself, always being the giver and then the other person's always the taker, and then because that's what happens in I think a lot of relationships is that you have that resentment can start. Yeah. And then the one person who's the taker is like, "What's wrong with you? You've always done this." Well, no. I mean, I'm like waiting for you to reciprocate it back, right? Yeah. So, but when you talk about that positive energy, man, I mean, I can tell you, I mean, it makes a huge difference. Mm-hmm. I was telling you before the show, my grandma, she was amazing, and she was from Atlanta, and she goes, and this is going to be a horrible Southern accent reiteration, but she used to say, she said, Jennifer, she said, you catch more bees with honey than you do with vinegar.
I love it.
I know. Amazing, right? And I thought, that makes sense, because who wants vinegar? Because that's horrible.
Right. And I love that accent, and you did a great job. And by the way, that Southern Georgia accent in particular is so lovely. Yeah. I love it.
She's always said, bless your heart.
Yes. Bless your heart. So slow and sweet. Yeah. I love it.
And I'm like, how are we related? I talk a mile a minute.
right. Well, you're a Yankee. I don't know. Are you a Yankee? Maybe that's
a Yankee.
Yeah. No, but it's so true. Yeah. It's true. And it's not meant to manipulate. It's not saying, let me just pretend to be nice. No. But it can be a conscious effort, and then it can become a habit. Right. And then when you see the fruits of your positive labor, now it's rewarding. Right. And it encourages you to continue to move forward in your business endeavors and in your relationships, whether it's, platonic relationships, dating relationships, married relationships. The more positive energy you're putting into it guess what? I mean, you're going to get it right back. That's
Right.
just karma. I mean, not karma, or it's just how energy works.
Right.
You put it out, you get it back.
Right. And you attract more of the same type of people.
Absolutely.
Right. You know, when you go and they're like, oh, we love your energy, you know, whatever. And I was like, well, yeah, because we're the same.
Yeah.
That
right.
makes sense.
Right.
We're
right.
gravitating towards, you know, the same people.
Right.
So,
You know, and I will say in the last probably 2 years that I have, you know, as we all evolve and kind of move forward in things that you want to do. Oh my gosh, Jen. I mean, I have really met you, for example. I met Molly. I've become closer friends with people who I had just admired from a distance. And, you know, you get to know them and then you're putting in, you know, you're having this really genuine conversation that's full of energy, positive energy. And then they're feeding off of it. You're feeding off of it. Next thing you know, it's like that. And it's like, let me introduce you to this person.
Right.
You know, but if I had shown up, you know, like a fly on the wall and just not really bringing my energy, quiet in the corner, not feeling anything or whatever, I don't think that someone would say, I want to see you again and let me introduce you to my friend. Right. That's not going to happen. Right. And again, I want to stress it's genuine. I'm not suggesting that we pretend to be something we're not, or we just turn on the charm all of a sudden for no reason if it's not here in your heart. But you can cultivate that in your heart.
Yeah, and I think the other way that how you can get to that, you know, like you say, surround yourself with positive people, right? But also, I mean, there's so many positive people out there making a difference. YouTube, you know, A Bong, I mean, I listen to his stuff all the time. It's so inspiring. I mean, you have tons of people out there who always are putting out positive messages. You can just, you know, save them and then just watch them in the morning.
Absolutely.
You know, and
listen, sound bites.
Sound bites. You know, get on these podcasts that have, you know, people having inspiring messages and they want to do good. You may not have your tribe or you not build your dating advisory board or in business or personal, which you should. So you got homework if you have not already. But at the same point, you know, those are the type of things I think that can really help you elevate in a personal and professional world.
That's absolutely right. You know, it's about connections. You know, if you are flying solo all the time, you're not open to conversations or positive podcasts, listening to them, you're not open to just other perspectives, then you're going to maintain kind of where you are, which is fine if where you are is where you want to be. But if you want to continue to be inspired, if you want to continue to be your best self, it's all about continuing to be around positive people and listening to positive thoughts.
Right. And asking. So, you know, you talk about connections, right?
Yeah.
And I think that one thing is that, you know, we have friends that, you know, and there's other single people out there. And some people, they'd rather go on the dating app than ask their core group of people if they know anyone who's single.
Yeah.
Which is weird because you probably would get along with that person that they were friends with through a referral because you would do that in business.
Good point.
That's
a great point.
You would do that. Like, hey, can I refer you? Well, of course they're going to say, well, yeah, I can talk about her.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. That's a great point.
So that's just something to think about, you know, for the single ladies and the single men out there. Ask your core group. You know?
Yeah.
Like who are your single people that you can introduce me to? And it doesn't have to be a relation or just like, hey, like hang out. That could be wingman, or wingwomans.
Right.
And new friends and build it and get off that damn couch.
Get off the couch.
Come on.
Although this is a beautiful red couch and I'm liking it right now.
No.
But yes, get out and meet people. And then, you know, something you said made me think, you know, it's one thing to say, hey, do you know someone that, you know, you think I might hit it off with? That's great. And I encourage that definitely if you're not doing that. In addition to, hey, if you're doing the apps and all that stuff, I first of all, I don't know anything about it, but I'm just saying, I think asking, like you said, your friends is great. But also, what about when you do meet that person, regardless of how you met them? What about if you came back to your core tribe, your dating advisory board, if you will, and you said, okay, now here's the lowdown. I met this person and here's what happened. Here's what they're like. And here's this. What do you think? Yeah. Getting some consulting around that I think is good.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, doing testimonials of yourself, right?
Yeah.
I talk about a lot about, you know, having, if you are on those dating sites or different dating apps, you know, going in there and asking other people to write your profiles.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a little bit harder to write about yourself. I mean, you can start it, but, you know, you may be missing something that somebody else that you may not see or feel weird because you're like, well, that seems aggressive. I may not want to put all that out there.
Yeah.
You know? But that's just something, you know, I thought about. Now, if you were, because you have that extensive background in the business world, I mean, how did you go about with doing a dating strategy? I mean, what would you think would be? Would you say going to your core tribe and starting off that? I mean, I kind of like leaning towards that now, like when people are asking me about dating strategies, like even if they're doing both. So what would you do?
Yeah. You know, I think that would be one of the first things I would do too, because I like to connect with people.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do the solo thing. I wouldn't be like, who can I meet by myself?
Yeah,
like,
no.
How do I just, so I would definitely be reaching out to friends. I would be really open-minded. Even if someone suggested someone that I felt like, ooh, that's not my type or my style, I think I would go about everything with a really positive, open mind. Because oftentimes, don't you find that you find what you're looking for when you're not looking for it too?
Exactly.
So be open-minded. And then I think really evaluating your own self. And when you think about some of the business things that we do, when you're about to do business with someone else, first of all, they're going to be on par with what you're looking to do, right? And so I think knowing your value, knowing your worth is extremely important because you don't want to waste anyone's time. And so...
And know what you want.
Know what you want, too. When I say being open-minded, I don't mean that someone's going to recommend something and I'm just like, no, thank you. Let's just not waste anyone's time. So I think that's okay. But being open-minded, but also when you arrive, know what you have to offer, because I think that can save everyone a little bit of heartache when it comes to, at the end of the day, you want to be respected.
Right.
I think that's so important in any relationship, business or personal. You want to be respectful and respected. And the best way to do that is to know your worth.
Right.
Because if you're not, you can very easily get disrespected, and that can turn into...
And then stay in that relationship because you're just kind of comfortable, right? And I think a lot of people do that in business and personal. They just get comfortable and think, oh, it's fine. It's just crazy. Dating world's too crazy out there.
Right. Or have you ever heard of those business people that, they just give everything away because they're just so nice, and they just want to, and they don't know their worth.
Yes.
They don't know that, no, you could be charging this much because this is how valuable you are. Don't undervalue your service or your product or service, whatever. It's the same thing with relationships. Don't undervalue all the amazing things that you are. If someone is not really up to par or treating you the way you need to be treated, it's okay. Move on.
Yeah.
What'd you learn from there? What did you learn from that experience? Maybe
exactly. Everything is a learning experience.
Oh,
Absolutely.
So be open-minded and have those bad dating.
Exactly.
Have those bad dating experiences
right?
because it'll teach you what you don't like.
Yeah.
But you just have to keep in mind that you have a limit. You have limits.
Yeah. There's limitations.
Yeah. Don't date someone and don't like things and just keep going with it.
Right. Yeah. Just because you just don't want to be alone. Yeah.
Just like in business. Yeah. I might have a business meeting with someone and think, I think we're going to do business together. This is going to be great. And after a couple meetings, you're like, we're not on the same page.
Right. And it's more difficult. You don't want to create that stressor. I mean, we've all had those clients that have been difficult to work with. And it gets to be so stressful because especially if it's a big client, so maybe, there's, your top 5.
Yeah.
And then they're just mean and nasty to you and, and you're always wrong and they never want to pay any invoices.
Oh, gosh.
Oh my God. Well, they just called. I'm like, gosh, really?
But you know what? Another lesson to be learned from that's applicable from business to personal is I would think and I would hope that in a business setting, when a client or a partner or something is just not treating you right, be professional.
Yeah.
Because you can never control what someone else is going to bring, but you can control yourself.
Yeah.
And don't lessen yourself. Don't lower yourself to any kind of standard. Maintain a professional outlook about it. And if you need to cut ties in a professional way, do it. But also in the dating and relationship world, I think that's important too. If it's not going to work out, let's not smear each other.
Right.
Let's just kind of be professional about it.
Right.
And I know that
it's hard to have that business set, put your business hat on and breakups.
Emotions are there. And that's different.
Right.
But what do we get out of all the negative? I know you want to because maybe it feels better in the moment. If you're dishing out, someone did you wrong and you just want to take them down, but be professional, keep your head high and keep it moving.
Yeah, exactly. So now when you talk about technology, I mean, do you think the game has changed? I mean, from hearing your stories with your girlfriends, on the dating scene with all the texts versus talking, we talked a lot about that. Yeah. And so do you think that's a good thing? Do you think, these texts versus calling?
I think it's good and bad. I'm going to play the pageant girl answer here.
Okay. I love it.
It's good and bad, though, honestly, because on one hand, texting, social media, it's efficient. Yeah. Sometimes it's efficient. However, you don't want to lose that personal connection. And the personal connection is simply not there if you're constantly texting and there's no personal, actual human interactions.
Right.
So I think those are great, texting and all that, to be able to communicate. But you really have to establish that cadence with the person first. A really strong, personal, real, in-person connection before you, I think, should carry on that relationship text-wise, if you will. Kind of like business. Yeah. Some business can happen all online, but if it's a really important client, you better get there. You better meet them in person. They better see you, trust you, know you, understand everything that's going to happen. And then if all the business dealings moving forward occur over email or whatever, they already trust you.
Right.
So I think in the dating world, it's also different because it's your love life.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to know if men feel differently about it versus women.
About the text? Oh, I can tell you, men hate to be on the phone. That's what I hear.
So does my. He hates it.
Oh, I mean, he can't even stand it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
he
like,
really
wow.
hates it. Yeah.
I'm like,
okay. He's not alone. I thought he was just a weirdo.
No, your husband is not.
Like, he'll call me. My ringer's never on, and he'll call me like 4,000 times. I don't hear it. And then I'll say, just text me. I'll see it.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
I know.
He wants to talk. I'm like, I don't have time for that. Just text me.
Just text me.
But see, we've already established a relationship, so it is all good.
It is all
There's
good.
no loss in translation. He just needs me to pick up something in the grocery store.
Right, exactly.
There's no misunderstanding.
Now, what would you say one of the top dating mistakes you think people are making nowadays?
Top dating mistakes that people are making. Ooh, gosh, that's a good one. I would come back to maybe, I'm going to say it again, knowing your worth. Mm-hmm. Maybe you are entering in a relationship or dating when maybe you don't know what you want. I mean, and if you're just dating for fun, that's great too. Yeah. But maybe if you don't know your worth, you're going to let things happen that
you may not have known.
You're going to start the relationship off on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying having such high standards that nothing's ever going to work out. Right. I'm just saying, just like in business, if something right off the bat is just not in sync, it's not going to work out business-wise. Mm-hmm. Maybe cut your ties because that Prince Charming or that Queen, however you want to say, Cinderella is the next person waiting.
Right.
So don't waste your time, I guess.
Because you're doing a disservice to you and to the other person for that, right? If it's not going to work out, right? I mean, you should let them go so that you will be able to, you meet the right person and the other person meet the right person.
Yeah. But the dating apps, man, that's just a whole new thing.
Oh, that's
a whole new thing.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So we have a few more minutes. Okay. So tell us some of the projects you're working on, how people get in touch with you.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. I am doing a whole lot of stuff, Jen, and I'm having so much fun with it. It's really been awesome. Yeah. I'm so happy. I feel so grateful where I am right now. But I have launched my company, Media Savvy, and I love it. And I love putting all my energy towards it. And basically what it is offering small businesses consulting and services around branding and marketing their business through digital advertising. So I always say that people do business with people that they know and that they like and that they trust. Well, how do you get someone to know and like and trust you if you are so busy doing your business?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, whether you are a medical professional, you have a home building business, you are a cake pop business, you do hair, whatever it is, can we enhance the marketing that you're doing through digital advertising? Can I, for example, interview you?
Yeah.
Like I did when you came on the show.
Which was so much fun.
Let's get to know more about you, because people might see the dating board advisory board. They can go on your website. They can see. Hopefully, they're tuning into all your podcasts because they're amazing.
If you have not subscribed to iTunes,
subscribe now.
And forward and share.
But every now and then, isn't it great to be interviewed?
Yeah.
For someone to go, you know what? Tell me more about you. Tell me more about, I can read why you created this, but I want to hear it.
Everybody wants to hear your story. I mean, I
so
love listening to people's stories.
Me too.
I find it fascinating.
Well, you're going to get to know that person at a deeper level. And even if it's not one-on-one, because we can't, as business people, have one-on-one interactions with every person you're trying to do business with or you're trying to connect with. But if we can share that digitally create a video and put your story out there, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. I'm just so proud of you, sister.
Thank you. And I love my show, the show that I host, I'm Every Woman, because it's just another opportunity to showcase women doing awesome things. And I love everything about empowering, supporting women.
Yeah, and entrepreneurship, which is amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I love that we have met and we hit it off like this. I love everything you're doing with the Dating Advisory Board. I think it's so cool.
Well, I can't wait to see all the fun stuff that Elaine's got coming up, because you better be watching her.
Oh my gosh, all around town, but it's all fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.